Hello everyone, I am so excited to have you with me today. My name is Tamar and I am the owner and professional makeup artist at Tamar Israel Artistry. We are based in Dallas, Texas, and we specialize in providing brides with stunning and exquisite makeup for their weddings. And we also teach women how to confidently apply their makeup using our signature system. So today I'm going to show you how to confidently achieve your makeup using my signature method, and I'm so excited to share with you some of my tips, tricks, and techniques. So if you are interested, keep on watching. We have our beautiful model here, Rochelle, and we're going to be accomplishing a beautiful everyday makeup look, but this look can be transitioned into nighttime, and it's honestly perfect for any occasion. So before we get into the actual application of the makeup, we're going to talk about tools, products, and techniques. Now, when it comes to applying makeup, most women only focus on finding the perfect product. But it actually is about finding the perfect combination of tools, products, and techniques because they all work together to achieve a seamless and flawless application. So these are the tools that we'll be using today. Okay, starting with our eye tools. We have a fluffy brush here. This is our Morphe M441 brush. So if you received your makeup shopping guide, this brush will be in your guide. This brush is a goat hair brush and it's very fluffy and soft to give a very soft and diffused application on the eye. So the fluffier your brush, the more diffused your color payoff will be. We also have our MAC 239 brush. This is our packer brush for our eyes. This brush is a goat hair brush and it also is very dense and it has a lot of bristles that are compact. So this brush is going to ensure that we have high pigment and opacity and have like a heavy application of the product on our face or on our eyes, okay? Of course, we have our Beauty Blender sponge. This is the black one. I absolutely love beauty blenders to achieve a very flawless and seamless application. And it also melts the product into the skin beautifully. So you definitely want a beauty blender. And next we have our MAC 129 brush. This brush, or you can use the MAC 116 brush. Any brush that has fluffy hairs to softly apply powder and apply a finishing powder on the skin. You can also use this for bronzer. You can use it for blush. So it has multiple uses, okay? So we're gonna keep our tools really simple today because I want this to be easy. I want it to be stress-free. I want to save you time and save you money. So those are the tools that we're gonna be using today, okay? So as I get into the application, I'm going to explain to you the importance of your products with your techniques in addition to the tools. So as you can see, Rochelle here has a little bit of hyperpigmentation under her eye here and around her mouth. A lot of women of color experience hyperpigmentation in these areas. And so to ensure that that doesn't show through the foundation, we're going to color correct, okay? Before we get into that, let's prep her skin. We're gonna start off with our MAC Fix Plus spray. So I'm gonna have you close your eyes. This spray has glycerin in it. So it really helps to hydrate the skin, and you can open. And it also is a humectant, so it's going to attract moisture to the skin and really give a hydrated look on the skin. Next, we're gonna go in with our moisturizer. Now, I'm a pro makeup artist, so I have my kit condensed, but we're using the Kiehl's Ultra Moisturizer. And I'm literally going to use my fingers to apply this moisturizer on her skin. You really want to take time to hydrate your skin and prep it to receive the makeup. This is going to ensure that your makeup is long lasting and that it adheres to the skin for a flawless application. Even if you have dry skin oily skin, whatever your skin type is, you always want to hydrate. I have extremely oily skin, and a lot of times, oily skin will produce more oil to compensate for the loss of hydration. When I used to work at MAC, a lot of customers will say, well, I already have my natural oils or my natural hydration. Well, hydration has water in it, so you definitely want to find a moisturizer where the first ingredient is water. And I really like this moisturizer because it doesn't leave a heavy film on the skin. And we're going to do her décolletage, her décolleté. So when you're doing your skincare, use upward strokes and combat gravity. We're working against gravity, ladies. So take the time to prep your skin properly before you do your makeup. Because your makeup is only gonna look as good as your skincare. All right? And then we can't forget about her lips, okay? We're gonna be using the Laneige lip mask. I absolutely love this lip mask. It's super hydrating. It doesn't disappear as quickly as some lip products. And it truly is a mask for the lips. So I'm gonna have you tap and blend that in. So, I'm also going to apply a pearlized moisturizer. Now, if you want to skip the Kiehl's moisturizer, you can totally use this moisturizer here. This is an extra moisturizer, but the cool thing about this is that it has this beautiful pearlized pigment to really add a glorious glow to the skin. And I'm applying it. I'm gonna have you turn your face to the left a little bit. As you can see, it is accentuating her cheekbones and bringing them forward to produce a very luminous glow. And I like to apply this underneath the foundation because it's gonna give that lit from within. It's gonna give that lit from within look. Turn towards me. So you want to apply it on the high points of the cheekbone and up into the temple, just slightly. Avoiding the brow area because we don't want to illuminate our brows. You can also do down the bridge of the nose. And whatever's left on your finger, you can apply to the forehead. Like I said, if you want to skip the Kiehl's moisturizer and use this as your moisturizer for the day, you absolutely can do that. I would not recommend using this as your nighttime moisturizer though. Okay, so Rochelle's skin is prepped and hydrated and we're ready to get into the color correction. So, when it comes to color correcting, what that is neutralizing the skin tone. Have you ever applied your concealer or applied your foundation and still saw some gray areas around your eye or underneath your mouth? Well, that's because you didn't color correct. And so we're going to use our fluffy brush, okay? I have several of these, and I'm going to use a fluffy brush because I want to give a very soft application to diffuse that on the skin. Okay? So when you're applying your color corrector, when it comes to women of color, you want to choose something that's orange base. An orange color corrector is going to neutralize the tone and bring it back to a natural finish so it doesn't leave a gray area or a gray cast. And I'm using this fluffy brush because I want a very soft application and I want it to be very sheer. But notice I'm using a technique which is called a packing motion or a packing technique, because I want to place this product right where I want it to go. You can totally use a face brush that is slightly bigger. This is technically an eyeshadow brush. But as you can see, this color corrector already evened out her skin tone. So you can see the difference between the right side versus the left side. So you want to apply this anywhere you have areas of hyperpigmentation, acne scarring. If you have a burn from a curling iron, you can totally use that for that as well. And again, I'm using a fluffy brush with packing motions. Some people will prefer to use their fingers, but if you think about painting a wall, your fingers are not going to give an even application. Now, a trick that I like to do is I like to actually mix a corrector with her concealer. Because when I apply her foundation on top, I'm not going to work as hard. Now, this step here isn't necessary, but I highly recommend it because it truly is going to make the world of a difference. So take that extra 3 to 5 minutes to color correct the skin, so you have a very flawless and gorgeous application. Okay, can you turn towards me a little bit? So again, using tapping motions to apply that. Now I'm using the Makeup Forever HD concealer. I absolutely adore this concealer because not only is it HD, which is going to translate beautifully in photography and film, but it has a very thin texture. Okay, the more product you put on your skin, when you start to layer formulations like creams and powders and liquids, it's going to create texture on the skin. But because this is very sheer and lightweight, it's barely going to add any texture at all. Some people will skip the foundation and just apply a powder all over. You can turn towards that. Okay, so we are all color corrected. Now we're gonna move on to finding her perfect foundation shade, okay? So when it comes to finding your perfect foundation fit, there are a lot of different things. So I'm not gonna say a lot, I'm gonna say 3 important things that you need to consider. First is the actual color, okay? Now, if you like to wear gold jewelry, if gold jewelry is very complementary to your skin tone, you have more of a warm undertone to your skin. If you wear silver jewelry, and silver is more complementary, then you have a more cool tone. And if gold and silver looks good on you, then you definitely have a neutral undertone. You also want to consider the overtone. So are you fair? Are you medium? Are you dark? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a few different shades of foundation. I'm going to be working with the NARS Natural Radiant Longwear Foundation. And I'm going to choose a foundation that I believe is her skin tone, a shade that is a little lighter, and a shade that's a little darker. So we're going to do that. This shade here is the New Caledonia. I'm also going to choose NARS Tahoe. which is that middle shade there. And we're also going to choose, we're going to choose NARS Molly. Or NARS Nambia. I hope I'm pronouncing these names correctly, but we'll see. And for the sake of demonstration, I'm going to swatch these colors on her chest, okay? So that is the New Caledonia shade. We have the Tahoe in the center. And then we have the Nambia on our far left. So as you can see here, the New Caledonia shade blends in more seamlessly, where you won't be able to see where the color starts and stops. This is way too light, and the Nambia is way too dark. Okay? So those are a couple of things you want to consider for your foundation fit. You also want to consider the type of finish you want, okay? Your finish is simply how your foundation looks when it dries down. There's a matte finish where there's absolutely no shine. You have a dewy finish where it's a luminous glow. And then you have satin, which is in between. Okay, so if you have oily skin, a satin finish, or excuse me, if you have oily skin, a matte finish will be more suitable for you. I specifically chose the NARS Radiant Longwear Foundation because it is transfer resistant, humidity resistant, and it gives you 16-hour wear. So it is perfect for everyday application and special events. Another thing you want to consider is the coverage, okay? So what type of coverage do you want? Do you like something more sheer and natural? Do you want something more medium, or do you want something more full? And I like to compare foundation coverage to stockings or leggings. So when you think about when you wear stockings or hosiery, that's going to be more sheer. You can still see some of your skin showing through. If you wear nylons, you can see a little bit of your skin coming through. I will compare that to a medium coverage. And leggings, I will compare to a very full coverage foundation because you can't see any of your skin coming through, okay? So based off our swatch, we're gonna go with the NARS New Caledonia shade. And we're gonna use our beauty blender to apply this all over her face. Okay, I already dampened my beauty blender. And what I did was I ran it under a faucet very quickly, and then I used a paper towel to remove the excess. So I really like a beauty blender to seamlessly blend out foundation because the sponge and it being damp is going to soak up a little bit of the product. It's also going to help to melt powders. And you may think, oh, that's odd to use something wet for a powder, but it truly, truly makes the world of a difference. So remember, when you are looking for your foundation shade, think about your undertone, your overtone, your finish, as well as the type of coverage you would like. And definitely bring it down underneath the jawline and onto the neck. Okay. And I'm using this type of technique, this patty motion, because again, we don't want to move the product around. We don't want to disrupt the corrector that we already placed. And we just want to gently lay our foundation on top. towards me. If you find that you need a little bit more coverage in certain areas, then go back in and apply another layer in that area. But because we color corrected, we didn't need to use a ton of foundation. One thing that's very important that I wanted to mention is that when you swatch for your foundation, you always want to swatch on the chest. Why? Because we want a very even and seamless tone from the face to the neck and down to the chest. You don't ever want to swatch it on the back of your hand, because when you're driving, the sun hits your hand and your hands are darker than the skin on your face. Okay, so with the product, the tool that we're using here, and the technique of using light pressure, I would say more moderate pressure, this is going to help us create a very flawless application on the skin. Okay, you can open your eyes, and there we have it. A beautiful, even canvas. Okay, so now that we have her foundation completed, we're going to go in and add dimension to her skin, okay? Foundation will definitely give you a blank and even canvas, and so we want to add some of that dimension back to the skin by highlighting, okay? We're gonna choose a concealer that is a shade lighter than her skin tone, and we're gonna focus this on areas to bring them forward, okay? So that's gonna be under the eye, the forehead, and down the bridge of the nose. I like to use a shade that is slightly brighter because, again, we want to add that dimension back to the skin. And I'm going to apply this in the shape of an upside down triangle. So from the corner of her eye down to her nostril and back up to the corner of her eye. Because I'm using the Beauty Blender to apply this concealer, again, it's going to soak up a little bit of her product to ensure that it's a very flawless and seamless application. And we're using tapping motions because we want to lay the product right where we want it to go. So as you can see, this area is slightly brighter than this area here, giving the illusion and the finish of a more awakened and beautiful look, okay? So the concealer of choice I'm using today is the MAC Studio Finish Concealer in the shade NC45. When it comes to the MAC naming system, NC stands for Neutral Cool, and NW stands for Neutral Warm. Rochelle has a more neutral, warm undertone. And so we're going to use this concealer. We're going to use a different undertone to brighten, but you can totally use the same undertone as the rest of your face, okay? So I'm gonna have you relax your face and just face forward for me. We are also gonna apply this concealer on the top of her forehead in this half circle shape. Okay, this is going to bring forward the features and, again, add that dimension back to her face. Okay, this is an extra step, but it's definitely necessary so that you don't look flat and you look more awake. Okay, and we'll just apply a little bit down the bridge of the nose, nothing too heavy. Okay, because this concealer is a cream concealer and a cream product, it's going to give you a very high pigment and it's going to give you a big color payoff. Okay, because it is extremely pigmented, you want to use light pressure. And you want to use light pressure to ensure that you're not applying way too much. It's always easier to apply in light layers because you can always add more, but you can't take away. Okay, look at me for a second. All right. Now we all have fine lines under our eyes, so we definitely want to make sure we are very careful with the amount of product we apply under the eye. Okay? And I'm gonna have you relax your forehead. I'm gonna flip my beauty blender to the butt, and I'm gonna go on the edge of that half circle to blend it out. Okay? You really want to take your time to apply your makeup. Okay? And you definitely want to practice. I can achieve the look that we're doing today in about 20 to 30 minutes. So if you really want to become, if you really want to become skilled at doing your own makeup, it's important that you practice. Okay? So we have added highlight using concealer in the high planes of her face. Now we're gonna move on to applying her powder to lock and set everything in place. So when it comes to applying your powder, we're gonna set and lock this in place. You wanna use your beauty blender to press and pack and make sure that product is settled in very nicely. Sometimes it will crease and kind of settle in the fine lines, and we don't want that. So I'm having Rochelle look up because it's going to stretch the skin under the eye. And we're going to take our MAC brush, and we're using this powder, the MAC Mineralized Skin Finish Powder in the shade Dark. And we're literally going to press and roll. Now, I learned this technique from a makeup artist. Her name is Mally Magic. She's a super talented makeup artist, and she specializes in serving dark-skinned women stunning glam. Okay? So as you can see, this side of her face is much more matte, whereas this is more glowy. It has some shine to it. This side doesn't have any shine. And I'm using the shade Dark, which is the same shade as her concealer, because I want to keep this brightness under the eye. If you use your foundation powder, it's going to take away that brightness that we work so hard to lay down. Okay. So you really want to take your time and make sure that this area is beautifully set. Okay, and I'm gonna have you relax your forehead, and we're gonna do the same thing at the top. Okay, we're going to make sure that our products are not settling into our lines. So we're gonna take our beauty blender and blend it out. We're gonna go in with our powder, and we're gonna press and roll. So it's more of a rotation of your arm. Now, I like to use this powder. I absolutely love this powder because it is a mineralized powder. It has minerals that's going to nourish the skin, but it also has these beautiful pigments to give a beautiful radiance to the skin. So this is going to be key in ensuring that you have a glorious glow. The powder, as far as the coverage, it's a very sheer coverage. So because her foundation is already full coverage, we don't want to apply another full coverage powder on top, okay? Because then it's going to look very cakey. I'm just going in with the beauty blender and making sure that everything is blended. Okay. Now, we're gonna go with a tone that is her skin shade, okay? Same product, MAC Mineralized Skin Finish, but we are using the shade Dark Deep. And I'm gonna use the other side of my brush. Don't be afraid to dig in your product to get some product on your brush. And we're gonna press and roll all over the face. Again, grabbing some more product, using a fluffy brush, and we're pressing and rolling into the skin. Turn towards me. So this press and roll technique is literally laying the product right where we want it to go. But because this product has a sheer finish, and because we're using a fluffy brush, it's going to give a very beautiful radiant veil of coverage all over her skin. And then on the neck and chest, you can use patting motions. Okay. So go ahead and open. There we have it. Beautiful, radiant, expensive looking skin. Yes, stunning. So now we're going to move into adding some dimension back. We're going to go with our bronzer. Now our bronzer of choice today is actually a drugstore bronzer. I absolutely love this bronzer. It is the CoverGirl bronzer from the Ebony collection, the Queen collection in the shade Ebony. We're going to use the tip of our brush, tap off the excess, and we're going to tap around the perimeter of her face, okay? So her forehead, the hollows of her cheekbone, and underneath her jawline. So you have this number 3 shape here, okay? Where you hold your hand on your brush also impacts the application, okay? As you can see, I'm holding my hand far back on the brush so I can have a light application. And I'm tapping. And you will see how her face shape will slowly begin to have dimension simply because we're adding bronzer in the hollow points, in the receding points of her face. This is gonna give you that sexy, sun-kissed look. And I don't know about you, but I love to wear bronzer all season long, all year long, because I want to have a healthy glow and healthy look to my skin, no matter what season it is. But maybe in the summer, you know, I may go a little heavier on the bronzer. Okay. So again, using tapping motions, and turn towards me. Again, don't be afraid to grab more product and slowly add layers. If you apply too much bronzer or too much blush in one spot, you can totally go back in with your beauty blender or whatever tool you use for your foundation to blend that out. Okay, but we want to tap, 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 tap. Okay, and turn towards the camera for me. And this is our bronzer, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, to add a little bit more color to her skin, we're going to add our blush, okay? We're going to use this beautiful blush here. I will compare this to a MAC blush in the shade Raisin. And we're going to take our same brush that we use for our bronzer, and we're literally going to pat it on the cheek and tap it. And we're applying it on the apple of the cheek. So as Rochelle is smiling, this juicy part of the cheek here, we're going to pat and press and tap it. With the brush that we're using, it's doing the work for us. so we don't have to do too much work. Because this is such a fluffy brush and it's large, it's diffusing the color for us and it's covering a majority of the face. So we can apply this blush very quickly and be on our way. Okay, just to give a little something to the cheeks. Very radiant, very luscious, very healthy looking skin. Okay. Now we're gonna move on to brows. Rochelle's brows are microbladed or micro shaded, okay? But I am going to walk you through how to properly fill in your brows to frame your face, okay? So I'm using the Benefit Precisely My Brow Pencil. I absolutely love this pencil because it's so skinny. You have so much control over where you want the product to go. Sometimes powders can get a little messy, pomades can look too heavy. So we're gonna be using this pencil here. When it comes to the shape of your brow, when you have your pencil and have it aligned with your nostril, this is where your brow should start, right there. Should be aligned with your nostril, okay? And her brows are already nicely aligned to frame her face, okay? When you have your pencil on the tip of your nose at this angle here, this is where your arch should be. And then if you tilt it to the end of your eye, that is where it should end, okay? So Rochelle here has a beautiful shape to her brows. I am going to define them a little more. And what I like to do is start at the tail end of the brow. My hand is pretty much in the center of the pencil, and I'm focusing it on the areas where she doesn't have any hair or color. And I'm using short hair-like strokes, because again, we want to mimic hair. And I'm using light pressure. I'm using hair-like strokes in the direction that her hair grows. You don't ever want to draw on your brow hair. You want to really take your time and use hair-like strokes. Your brows are the second most important thing when it comes to your makeup. Your skin being first and brows second because they frame your face. You don't want your brows to walk into the room before you do, okay? And then on the other side of this is a spoolie that you can use to distribute the color throughout. But for sanitary reasons, I'm going to use a disposable wand here. And I'm going to gently comb that product through and make sure it's evenly distributed. And this shade I'm using is 4.5. It's a neutral brown. For more control, you can relax your finger on your face. But I have oily hands, so I'm not going to do that because it's going to disrupt this beautiful, luscious skin we have. Okay, and I would honestly say that's all you need for an everyday wear. Okay, I'm gonna have you turn towards me. So again, we're starting at the tail part of the brow. We're using short hair-like strokes with light pressure. And we're gently filling in her brow. We're gonna use our spoolie to help distribute the product even more. And as we work our way to the beginning of the brow, you want to use even lighter pressure. Okay, you want it to be this ombre effect of light to dark. Okay, we don't ever want our brows to be harsh in the beginning. We want a very soft, sexy application. And if you need to elongate your tail a little bit, you totally can do that. Some ladies will like to use concealer to carve out their brows. And essentially what that does is you apply concealer underneath the brow to perfect the shape. And so we're going to do a little bit of that today. Just slightly. Okay, I'm going to turn to the camera. All right, so there we have it. We have our brows that are beautifully framed for her skin, for her face. And then we're going to move on to us carving her brows and then the eyeshadow. One tool that I did not mention is this brush here. This is a MAC 242 brush. It's very flat, it's a synthetic brush, and it's dense, okay? So this is going to ensure that our color payoff has high opacity. Now, I didn't mention this in the beginning because this step that we're going to do is optional, but we are going to carve out her brows, okay? I coated my brush on both sides with the product, and I am slowly tracing underneath her brow. And I use something that's pretty much her skin tone because I'm going to use this as an eyeshadow primer. But I'm also going to use it to neutralize the skin tone on her eye. Okay. You can take your beauty blender and gently press and tap and blend out the product. If you make a mistake and erase some of your brow product, go ahead and just take that and add it back. Again, this step is totally optional. This definitely takes a little more time. I'm gonna have you turn towards me. Because you want to have a steady hand. But we are tracing the brow to carve and sculpt. So if you are in between brow hair or brow appointments, this is a beautiful trick that will make it look like you just got your brows done. Okay. And it's important to use a primer or some type of concealer on the lid so that when we do apply our eyeshadow, it's going to stick and adhere and last all day. Okay, if you've ever applied eyeshadow without a primer, and then by the end of the day, you're like, what happened? It's because you forgot to apply a primer, okay? If you feel like one brow is slightly higher or more defined than the other, just go back and add more where you need it to make sure that your brows are symmetric, okay? Now the eyeshadow we're going to be using today is our Laura Mercier Caviar eyeshadow sticks. I'm going to be using the shade Cocoa, which is this beautiful chocolate brown shade, and Amethyst, which is this beautiful shimmery purple, okay? So this is going to be the look today. The great thing about these shadow sticks is that they're extremely long wearing. Now, I'm gonna start with Coco. So I'm gonna have you open your eyes. We're gonna apply Coco in the hollow of her eye, okay? So we're gonna add dimension to her eye by essentially contouring and adding depth here, okay? I always recommend using a matte texture in your eye, in your crease. And I'm literally going to carve out her eye here using this shadow stick. Because we want those hollow areas to recede. And then on her eyelid or those more furrow areas, we're going to bring those forward. Now I'm using our fluffy brush here because we want to diffuse the color. So what I did was just take a little bit of that product on my brush and using the technique of small circular motions. You can also use windshield wiper motions. And be careful not to extend it too far past the eye. But this is going to create a beautiful shape and dimension to her eye, okay? And I'm using this brush with this technique and light pressure because I want a soft diffusion of color, okay? We want it to diffuse nicely up into that brow shade, to that under eye brow shade that we used, okay? So you see it added a little bit of dimension there to her skin or to her eye. I'm just gonna take my beauty blender and kind of erase a little bit on the corner of the eye. If you feel like you need a little bit more, go back and add a little bit more. Okay, if you want it to be darker, go ahead and use patting motions to make it darker. Okay. Now I'm going to use the shade Amethyst. And we're literally going to go on her mobile eyelid. So Rochelle, I'm going to have you close. We're going to focus it on the mobile eyelid from inner corner to outer corner, keeping it below that chocolate shade we applied. If you do not want to use a brush, you totally can use your fingers, but I find that you have more control with your brush. So I'm taking my Dents MAC 239 brush, and I'm literally packing this shade here on that mobile eyelid, keeping it below that chocolate brown shade that we used. And I'm following the shape of her eye in this half moon shape. So you really want to understand your features and your eye shape to apply products and makeup in a way that is complementary to you. Okay, I'm just going to go back with that fluffy brush using windshield wiper motions and diffusing the edges. Go ahead and open. So we have a beautiful, soft application. If you want to intensify it, you can totally use an eyeshadow shade. Because we want to keep this pretty much for everyday wear, we're going to go in with this color here called Sultry. And we're going to tap our brush in the product, tap off the excess, and we're going to pack and place the powder on top of the cream. Okay? So because we're using this patting motion, this packing motion, and because we're using a cream and a powder, this is truly going to give you a long wearing finish that's going to last all day. and I'm adding it in a few light layers at a time. Okay. You can do the same to the brown shade if you like, but I like how this looks, so I'm going to leave it. Okay, go ahead and open. All right, then we're going to move on to the other eye. So starting with our cocoa shade. So as you can see here, go ahead and close for me. We have some creasing here on the eye. That is perfectly fine. Just go back in with your beauty blender. Because we didn't apply any powder yet, we can totally just blend this out so it's very seamless, okay? We're gonna go in with our cocoa shade in the hollow of her eye. This part doesn't have to be super neat, but you definitely want to concentrate this shade in the crease, okay? And we're gonna take our fluffy brush using small circular motions and windshield wiper motions to blend the shades and diffuse it, okay? We want this color to be a very soft wash of color in the crease and diffuse it. We don't want to see where anything starts and stops. Okay, blending is very, very important when it comes to your makeup. I would rather something be overly blended than not blended enough. Okay, so we're going to blend, blend, blend. And then going back in with our amethyst shade, we're going to apply that on her mobile eyelid. From inner corner to outer corner, following the natural shape of her eye, this half moon shape here. So you kind of can see the dimension that we've added here. Okay, you can see her mobile lid and how it's separated from her crease. So we're gonna go in with our packing brush and we're gonna take that amethyst and we're going to further define her eye here, okay? I absolutely love these sticks because again, they give you really great wear. There are so many different cream eyeshadows on the market. MAC has some, Tom Ford has some. There are so many different cream shadows on the market, but I definitely like these, especially because they're so small and petite. You can carry them with you in your purse and touch up. You can get the black shade to use to change your daytime look to a nighttime look while you're in the car headed to happy hour or wherever you're going. So they're super convenient. The shades that I purchased are from a holiday collection, so that's why they are mini, but the full size ones are super travel friendly too. And then you don't really have to worry about carrying a powder eyeshadow palette with you. So I'm using my packing brush with our packing motion. And this palette that I'm using here is the Anastasia Beverly Hills Soft Glam palette. Okay, going back in with our fluffy brush, we're just going to go on top of the line where these two colors meet, that line of demarcation, and we're going to blend. Now, I was using that motion because I definitely want to erase any lines that there may have been. But when it comes to applying the eyeshadow, you want to use a packing motion. Okay. If you swipe, it literally is going to move your product away. Okay, so we don't want to use a swiping motion when we want our pigment to be very intense. So there we have it. Go ahead and open. A beautiful, sexy, sultry eyeshadow look that you can wear every day or for special occasions. So we're gonna finish our eyes here, okay? We're going to be using something that's very, very near and dear to my heart. So these are my very own lashes. These are the Tamar Israel Beauty lashes in the Naomi style. It comes with a little ribbon so you can pull out your tray. But these are 3D mink lashes. So this is going to give her a very fluttery, sexy, and voluminous look to her eyeshadow. You do not have to wear lashes every day, but if you just want a little bit of extra a little extra sass and glam, definitely recommend wearing lashes. So we're gonna apply these on Rochelle today. And I'm gonna apply them on her eye first to measure, to make sure that they're not too long. Okay, and I'm using the Tamar Israel Beauty Lash Applicator. So they are a bit too long, so I'm going to cut off probably like a section of the lash band there. When trimming your lashes, you always want to trim from the outer corner. And I like to use the Duo Lash Glue. And this is a latex-free brush-on lash glue that dries clear. And we're going to apply a thin layer on the lash band. We're going to take our tray and let that glue dry down to get tacky. Now, having this lash applicator is definitely helpful to easily and quickly apply your lashes. I hear all the time how women struggle with applying lashes, and it has to do with a number of things. Sometimes you apply too much glue and the glue gets in your eye, or you don't let the glue dry down enough to let it get tacky. Or you simply have trouble applying it because you don't have a tool. Okay. So Rochelle, I'm gonna have you open your eyes and just look down to the floor. We're gonna apply the lashes to the center of her eye first, as close to her natural lash line as possible. And then we're gonna attach the inner corner and then the outer corner. It's very, very important to let that glue dry down a little bit and let it get tacky before you go in and apply it. And I'm just using my lash applicator to pinch her lashes with the falsies and push it back to her eye to ensure that they are properly attached and adhered. Go ahead and open. So as you can see, that gave a beautiful, beautiful, sexy, sultry look to her eye. Maybe look down. Sometimes you may need to go back and kind of play with it a little bit, which is totally fine. Okay. And if you need to add more glue, then add more glue. So we're going to take our lash out of the tray. We're going to cut off the end of the lash here. We're going to apply a thin layer of glue using our Duo Lash Glue. And then we're going to take our tray And we're going to let that glue dry down a bit. I just love the look that lashes give. With this Naomi style, it's shorter on the inner corner and longer on the outer corner. So it's gonna give you that sexy cat eye look and really make your eyes stand out and pop. When the glue starts to get a little clear, that's how you know that your glue is pretty much dry. So again, starting from the center, we're going to apply it in the center. And then we're going to attach the inner corner. And then the outer corner. The great thing about this lash is that you can use it straight on, like so, or you can use the tip of the applicator for more precise positioning of the lash. And notice I need a little more glue there, which happens. So we're gonna take a disposable wand and a little bit of our glue and apply it on that inner band here. Excuse me. The great thing about applying or using clear glue is that it dries down clear, so you don't have to worry too much about applying liner. But if you want to apply liner, you totally can. Some women cannot live without their eyeliner, which I totally understand. But for this look, we're gonna keep it soft and sexy. And we're not gonna do liner. Okay, we just wanna make sure our lashes are attached properly. Okay, go ahead and open. Beautiful, beautiful. So we are going to apply a little bit of mascara on the lower lash line, and then we're gonna finish her lips, and then that will be the completed look. One of my favorite mascaras is the L'Oreal Voluminous Carbon Black Mascara. This is the waterproof formula, but they do have a non-waterproof formula. If you are a heavy sweater, definitely use waterproof. I use this mascara all the time on my brides. And it's actually Kim Kardashian's makeup artist's favorite mascara. So I'm gonna have Rochelle look up. I'm gonna use the tip of the wand to apply that mascara on her lower lashes. And we're gonna use a wiggling zigzag motion. Now, one thing about me, I normally make mistakes with mascara on myself and on my clients. But a quick and easy way to correct that is to let the mascara dry down on your skin first, and then you want to take a Q-tip, and then flake it away. And it will flake away. Okay, you can apply a couple of layers. And then I'm gonna have you look down. We're just gonna apply a little bit on her natural lashes. Being careful not to apply too much on our mink lashes. But this is gonna help blend her lashes with our mink lashes, okay? And you know what? I'm gonna go ahead and apply a little bit of eyeliner. Why not? So using Cocoa, we're actually going to use that packer brush here. Okay? And I'm gonna have you look all the way up. We're going to use the tip of the brush going straight on, and we're diffusing that chocolate shade on her lower lash line to add a little bit of dimension here. You can even use this product as a lip liner. So finding products that have multiple purposes is definitely going to help save you money and save you time. And I'm loving the way this looks. I'm so glad we did this. There are products on the market where it's called a lip and cheek tint. So you can use it on the cheeks, you can use it on your lips. If you lose a little bit of that mascara, just go back and add a little more. Okay, we're taking our wand, the tip of our wand, and just wiggling it on our lashes, okay? The tip of your mascara wand has the most product on it, and so that's why we're using the tip here. If you have a little time, go ahead and gently comb through your lashes and style them in the way that you want them styled. Okay, now for her lip. I love Chestnut by MAC. This is a lip pencil, okay? And I'm going to carve out her lips just to add a little bit of dimension. This is a beautiful brown girl friendly pencil, and it is a must-have in your makeup bag. When you line your lips, you want to focus on, it's literally tracing just the shape of your lip, okay? So I am using short strokes to contour or define her lips. And then I want to gently feather that color in by coloring in the remainder of her lip. And so we're gonna create an ombre effect. Remember back in the 90s when Mary J had her black lip liner with her lipstick? Yeah, that's not in style anymore, ladies. So we want to make sure we diffuse everything, okay? Because blending is key when it comes to your makeup. So as you can see, I applied a good amount of liner on her lips. Okay, next we're gonna go in with the shade. We're going to use, so I'm using MAC Cream in Your Coffee lipstick. And this is a beautiful brown lipstick that's perfect for women of color. And it also has a beautiful purple tint to it, which I love because it complements the eyeshadow very well. Okay, and we're actually applying this over the lip liner as well, just slightly, to help blend and marry those colors and create a nice soft diffusion from her skin tone to the lip color. So I'm gonna have you gently tap your lips together. This is a very sexy, satiny finish. It almost has this built-in lip gloss, creating a very sexy and pouty look. Okay. So I'm just gonna go in with a little bit of final touches. Okay, if you feel like you need to apply a little bit more powder in certain areas, definitely do that. So I'm using the MAC Mineralized Skin Finish in Dark Deep. But as you can see, her skin is beautiful, it's sexy, it's flawless. Her eyes pop. Her lips are so sexy and juicy. And we have a beautiful, radiant finish. Her brows are nicely framed. And she has this radiant, glorious glow lit from within. If you want to apply a little bit of highlighter, which you can, but I recommend applying very minimal. We're going to apply it on the high points of the cheekbone. Because we applied that MAC Strobe Cream, that moisturizer with that pearlized pigment, because that is underneath and we're applying this powder highlighter on top, it's going to give the ultimate glorious glow and radiance to her skin. So that is it, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for purchasing this makeup course. I hope that I was able to share with you some tips and tricks that will help you to save time, save money, and transform your makeup routine. Thank you so much, and I hope to see you soon.